If you're looking for more horror outside of the mainstream, look no further than Unsung Horrors, a podcast about underseen horror movies. I'm Lance.
And I'm Erica. Every other week, we'll cover a horror movie with fewer than 1,000 views on Letterboxd. We'll even give you double feature recommendations to pair with the movies we discuss.
From gothic to shot on video, from slashers to comedies, from giallo to J-horror, we'll cover all the subgenres. So join us as we unearth these hidden gems of horror.
Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, all at Unsung Horrors, available wherever you listen to podcasts. And part of the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.
Hello, filthy movie lovers. My name is Gentry Austin.
And I'm Casey Scott.
And we're the hosts of the Sin Syndicate, film podcast for something weirdos, anti-criterion bros, and Joseph Sarno aficionados. Join us semi-weekly as we peer into the adults-only theaters and sticky-floored cinemas of the golden age of sexploitation, when the morals were loose, the laws were murky, and the intercourse was all simulated. Find us now on the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.
Weirding Way Media.
Night, Mr. Walters.
You see that guy over there? No, he's an actor. The guy on the phone, he's a prize fighter. Me, I'm a cab driver. I'm the only cab driver in this place.
Good evening and welcome to Night, Mr. Walters, a taxi podcast. I'm HP, your co-host, and with me as always is my co-host, Father Malone. Father Malone, how are you this evening?
Hi, Morris. How are you?
No foreshadowing on the episode this time,
Nope,
Father
I
Malone?
got nothing on this one.
All right.
This one is really poor. Anyway,
Spoiler alert. So we're talking Taxi Season 3, Episode 14, Louie's Mother, written by Catherine Green and directed by, it's James Burrows, of course it is.
sometimes.
Sometimes.
Did you ever watch that series, The Comeback, with Lisa Kudrow?
I think I saw one episode, and it was actually quite good, I thought. I don't know why I didn't watch the rest of the series. Why was it? Did you like it?
I loved it. This isn't recent. I watched it as it was playing out, and it's the best thing she's done. And I thought it to be really, really affecting. And I only bring it up now because, she plays a former sitcom star who has just gotten off of some, terrible show that she no longer liked or something. But James Burrows is basically, he's in the show. He's an actor in the show. Like, he was her director previously. Her character, Fancy, I believe her name is.
Oh, interesting. It was like on Bravo or something, was it not? Or what was it was not
on HBO.
Was it HBO? Okay, I knew it was a cable.
It was
channel.
quite profane.
I remember it being one of those things that all the critics loved it, but for some reason it just they didn't. I don't know how many seasons it ran, but it wasn't super. It didn't run for a long time, I don't think, which is a
I
shame.
think it might have gone 2 seasons, but it is my understanding that it's coming back.
Oh, good. I think she's very funny in the right part. So good for her. Reminder, we're doing these shows in broadcast order and not in order of filming. Quick shout out, Father Malone. I'm taking another page. I always take a page out of your book on this because you do these great shout outs to your loyal listeners, and that's fantastic. We've got a new, maybe this will be a spotlight every week, Father Malone, because I track all of our listeners and see where they're listening from and so forth. And
You stalk them, is what you're saying.
I kind of do. And we've got a new Night Mr. Walters listener location spotlight tonight, Father Malone. This time,
I'm totally stoked. Where?
it's Haringey. I hope I'm pronouncing that correct. It's a borough in North London. Have you ever heard of Haringey, Father Malone?
Harringate?
Haringey. Haringay.
Haringey. No,
Haringey.
I'm not familiar with it.
Well, let me introduce you to Haringey. This is the home of the Tottenham Spurs, and among its famous residents are Adele, Dave
Jeez.
Clark of the Dave Clark Five,
Wow.
and Ray and Dave Davies, of course, from the Kinks. Fabulous.
So are you saying that we have a new musical listener?
It could be it could be Adele. Who knows? Maybe she's a fan of Night Mr. Walters, Father Malone. Wouldn't that be fantastic?
Well, I could understand her being a fan of Taxi, certainly.
I guess by extension, a fan of Night Mr. Walters. So anyway, whoever you are in North London, Haringey, thank you for listening, and drop us a line. Let me know what you think of the show, and yeah. So thanks again. Anyway,
You know what? Let me reiterate what he just said. To do
sure.
that, whoever you are in London, right in. I'm dying to know.
We love hearing from our listeners. It really warms our hearts. So we open for this episode on B-roll of Times Square during a bad rainstorm. There's a prominent sign for a store, Father Malone, called Castro Convertibles. Did you notice this in this intro?
I did, but I didn't do any research.
I did. Lucky for you. Apparently, Castro Convertibles was a manufacturer of convertible sleeper sofas that started in New York City in 1931. They grew to 48 retail showrooms all up the East Coast. Eventually, they were sold to Krause's Sofa Factory in 1993. It sounds like a phony name to me somehow. Krause's Sofa Factory.
Yeah, it sounds like something that also went extinct in the 1950s, but in 94, are they still around?
The final note on this, in 2014, the founder of Castro Convertibles, a fellow named Bernard Castro, was inducted into the American Home Furnishings Hall of Fame, Father Malone. Isn't that interesting? The things you learn watching Taxi.
Isn't it interesting that that organization exists? Yes, totally fucking bizarre. You're right. Thank you, Taxi.
So anyway, we cut inside the garage where various cabbies are running in from the rain. They're using either umbrellas, or some of them do the thing where they have open newspapers over their head. We'll see that in this and actually the following episode, so look for that. Louie, they're shielding themselves from the rain. It's kind of a nice touch. Louie comes in. He is cheerful as can be, Father Malone. He's wearing like the full Gorton's fisherman rain ensemble, the yellow slicker, the hat, and the boots and everything. He's thrilled with the pouring rain because no one in the city walks when it rains. They all take the taxi. He even leads the cabbies in this chant, which reminded me of the Dirty Dozen. You remember that scene in the Dirty Dozen where the Lee Marvin is using this mnemonic device to get them to remember the plan? I don't remember what it is, but it's really funny.
I think this is a callback to that. Yeah.
I hope it is. It seems like it is. So it's Dirty Dozen style. He says, "What happens when it showers?" And then all the other cabbies very listlessly say, "Big bookings are ours." And what happens when it rains? Monetary gains.
Oh, yeah. It's not even fun.
I like that a lot. Probably because it reminded me of Dirty Dozen.
But monetary gains, I'm saying the rhymes themselves are poor. They're not inspiring.
Yeah, but they weren't that good in Dirty Dozen either. So I was fine with it.
And they didn't exactly triumph overall, did they?
But they did.
They won in the end. Yes. How many did they lose?
They lost all but 2, I think.
How many more would they have not lost if they weren't wasting time on mnemonic devices when they should have been training in hand-to-hand combat?
Look, I'm not going to impugn the training methods of Lee Marvin and Dirty Dozen.
I'm a Kelly's Heroes man. Sorry.
Yeah, well, Donald Sutherland was in that as well, was he not?
Never heard of it.
He's so good in Dirty Dozen. How can you not like him there?
He's my favorite thing in Dirty Dozen.
He is. He's one of my favorite things as well. So Louie goes into his cage and he makes a personal announcement. He says he put his mother in a rest home and he's going to be hosting a lavish party at his new bachelor pad, to which none of the cabins
was invited.
That's right. He's peacocking a little bit. Alex, for his part, can't believe Louie would celebrate putting his mother in a home.
Well, I do like that he says none of you cab drivers are invited, and then Latka strolls over like, "What time should I be there?"
And it's nice to see Latka in any capacity because he kind of comes and goes.
Yeah, we rarely see Latka this season.
We will, again, not to sort of get too ahead of ourselves, but we will. Now we're on the verge of him meeting or reintroducing Simca. So we're Laka's going to be more of a main character soon, but this is still that quasi reality where he just kind of comes and goes. Louie complains back to Alex when Alex raises this objection. Louie says, it's not easy living with your mother. He says she's always on your case about stuff like not using the doilies to clean beer off your chin. Elaine asks Louie about the rest home that he put his mother in, and Louie responds, I don't know. You got me. Like he doesn't, he didn't do the research.
What
he
a
didn't figure out.
cold-hearted snake.
Yeah, what a motherfucker. Seriously. Elaine asks if he even took her there, and Louie says he took her there, just not right to the door. And then Tony, of all people, he's incredulous. He says, you didn't even check the place out, Louie? And maybe my favorite line of the whole episode, Louie says, what do I look like, Mike Wallace? Which
It's a great line.
It's a great line, is it not, Father Malone?
It is, absolutely. Look, my name is Mike Wallace. My name is Michael Wallace. Okay, I'm not actually Father Malone, but listen, this is the bane of my existence growing up was Mike Wallace, because in the 70s and 80s, if you saw my name written, Michael Wallace, everyone said, oh, the 60 Minutes guy. Oh, 60 Minutes. Oh, like 60 Minutes. Yes, no, not like 60 Minutes. What made it worse is he's actually from Massachusetts as well. And that, listen, I don't want to speak ill of the dead, but when he died, I did think the name is mine.
This was a time before things like, not to make myself sound like an old man, which I am, but this was a time before the internet. So a show like 60 Minutes was really, really big. There was not, you only had 3 or 4 networks at the time. And 60 Minutes was that anchor on Sunday evening. And they used to do they would interview politicians. They would have exposés on this, that, and the other thing. So Mike Wallace, the journalist, was super uber popular. So I can only imagine. I never really thought about that, Father Malone, about you growing up with this burden. But I guess there you go. I guess it was not easy growing up in the shadow.
There are worse ways to grow up, obviously. But
sure.
It was just obnoxious. It's a bit like Michael Bolton.
There were a few people I can remember growing up with. I think we were in school with, like, wasn't there a John Carpenter at our school and a John
There was,
Kennedy?
but only we knew that was hilarious.
That's true. Because you'd hear periodically, like, John Carpenter
to the office, like, oh my God, what has he done this time? Has he made another Halloween movie? Come on.
Anyway, Louie says, what's the big deal? It's a rest home. And he punctuates this with this really super vulgar belch. He just seems like such a dirtbag in this moment that Louie would be so callous towards his mother. So Louie hands out the cab assignments, but when Rieger goes up, Louie kind of confides in Alex that he's invited to the party. Louie figures Alex is the only one in the garage who won't embarrass him in front of his friends. He makes a big show of telling Alex this is going to be a wild bash. And he tells Alex cryptically,
it's disgusting is what it is. Thank you.
It is. Alex, make sure you have no holes in your shorts, which makes me wonder what he had in mind. Like, are they, I don't know. I can't even venture to get.
Look, facts are facts. The pants are coming off is what he's saying. Your pants will be removed at some point, and you don't want to be embarrassed with holes in your underpants. What's occurring next?
Don't even want to know.
Is this a De Palma circle jerk? One of the famous?
The mind reels, Father Malone. Scary.
Well, remember in earlier episodes, we found out he was quite a pussy hound back in the Deuce, back on 42nd Street amongst the brothels. He would not only take customers to the brothels, but then he would join them within. So I agree with Alex. You have to accept this invitation just to see what's going to occur. But it's the last invitation you actually want to receive.
Exactly to your point, Alex, despite himself, he admits he's so tempted to go to the party. He likens it to the morbid curiosity that you experience when you see a car wreck and you just have to slow down to see what's up. Or when you have a sore in your mouth and you just can't help putting your tongue up against it just so you can feel the pain. These are all the comparisons that Alex is making to accepting Louie's invitation. Like he just has to know what's up, what's going on at this house of horrors. We cut inside Louie's apartment. This is probably my favorite scene in the whole episode. By the way, Father Malone, we'll get into this. Louie is doing a party pantomime with 2 cold slices of pizza in front of this couch full of weirdos that are watching him without expression. The couch of weirdos reminded me of the scene. Do you remember the scene in Animal House where Kroger and Dorfman go to the Omega pledge party? And because they're so nerdy and no one wants to deal with them, they keep getting shunned over to this couch of nerds. This is Mohammed and Jugdish, and here's Sydney and Clayton. Do you remember that? That's one of my favorite little bits in this.
I do remember that scene in Animal House, and I do get the reference here.
Yeah,
absolutely.
These 3. So there's 3 guys on this couch that are watching Louie do this little pantomime, and they're easily the best part of this whole scene. They're so weird. They're all different looking. And not once do they smile or betray any sort of emotion. Like these guys were very well cast in this.
They look like they're from American Splendor comics.
Yeah, they look like something that sprung out of Harvey Picar's life. You're absolutely right. These guys maybe collect old jazz B-sides like Picar.
And you know what's funny about it, HB? While I was watching it, I thought, Louie clearly lives in Brooklyn. His house is in Brooklyn, right? And looking at these guys on the couch, I thought, they're the same people living there today, except now they're rich and they have Instagram accounts. Those are hipsters now.
They are, but now what was weird is now considered quirky and kind of fun.
You know that you plop any of those guys in Brooklyn right now and put a ukulele in his hand, everyone's not going to bat an eyelash.
One additional side note: this is supposed to be the apartment that he's living in with his mother, and the set, again, we always sing the praises of the art department. The set itself is pretty perfect. I thought it's as a depiction of an old Italian mother's apartment, right? Everything has a floral print on it, the walls, the couch. There's a ton of pictures and cameos all around it. There's even an old piano off to the side that's piled high with records and sheet music. Did you think that the set was pretty good too, Father Malone?
I did. I just think, though, it needed like a blurred out centerfold thumbtacked to a wall, because I think that's what Louie's instinct would be as soon as his mother left the premises. You're
saying like he probably had that in his
He would
room.
have personalized it for the party.
Sure,
you know?
Sure, it could be. But we're going to find out. I think there's a reason why he might not have jumped.
Usually my swords are in my bedroom, but I thought they'd look good over the couch. Stuff like that.
The doorbell rings or buzzes, and eagerly Louie welcomes Alex in. Louie keeps trying to play up the party to Alex, but it's pretty clear that it's not the wild party that Louie sold Alex on. It's bombing, basically. Louie introduces his friends to Alex. Now, the names of the friends, the first one is Lyle, who's kind of a younger guy in a weird leather jacket. There's Huey, who looks like he's blind. He has these sunglasses that make him look blind. And then on the end is a guy named Daytona Dave, who's this old guy with dyed hair and a mustache. He kind of looks like those old Doritos commercials when we were kids, Father Malone. Do you remember that? With the guy with the big bushy Mario mustache? He kind of looked like him. I don't remember. Avery Brooks, is that his name?
Avery Brooks absolutely had his own theater in Hollywood.
I can't believe I pulled that out of somewhere. Yeah, it's just this weird pasty.
He's great.
He's very good. I don't mean to say that Avery Brooks is a weirdo, but the guy on the couch, Daytona Dave.
Oh, he is. He was definitely a fucking weirdo. There's no question about it. His whole career was based on like pulling weirdo faces.
So there's this, so Louie goes to get Alex a beer. And then what follows is, I timed this. It's a solid 15 seconds of wordless action as these 3 weirdos stare at Alex as he kind of fumbles in his chair. He's trying to figure out how to deal with the situation. And every time he tries to think to say something, the look on these guys' faces kind of makes him decide not to say a word. It's just so weird. These guys, I can't oversell this. You have to see it just for these guys. Louie comes back in and he's trying to pump up the party still for Rieger. Alex asks Louie, how did you guys all meet? And Louie tells this story that someone had a heart attack on the street, and the four of them, Daytona Dave and these three guys and Louie, were the last ones to leave the scene of this poor guy having a heart attack.
They needed to be weirder, and we needed more interaction with them.
No, I love that you don't get a lot of interaction, because that would destroy the mystery of it.
One of them should have been chatty. If you have a group of three, one of them is always chatty.
I guess. And it probably should have been the guy Lyle, the guy with the leather, the youngest one.
Larry, Daryl, and a Daryl. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, there you go. Good call. After another uncomfortable moment or two, the three weirdos get up to leave. Lyle says they have another party, which draws a big laugh from the audience, and they all split. Louie protests that it's only 7:30, but they've left. As Louie makes a big show of cleaning up after the wild party, Alex gets into sort of psychiatrist mode here. He tends to do that with Louie. He's trying to break through the hard shell.
He does it too much, and it's unwarranted. And by this point, I don't know. I guess I would feel bad too if I went to somebody's party and you were the only one there, aside of three total freakazoids who have better things to do.
That's really the last indignity here, is that these losers. Louie's party is so bad that they found a better place for them to go than to continue to hang out with Louie.
It's the pity, by the way, that it creates my best, for me, my favorite line in the episode, which is coming up. Alex
asks if they're the only ones who showed up, and Louie admits he thought a few more people might show. He tries to cajole Rieger with some music, but then Alex does the thing where he's like, I think I got to head out too, Louie. I'm pretty tired. Louie rushes around. He's trying desperately to keep Rieger from leaving. And finally, Alex cuts to the chase, and he says directly to Louie, "You don't like to be alone, do you?"
Who does?
Well, maybe some people do, but obviously Louie's clearly having a tough time of it. And Louie protests that he's been waiting his whole life to be alone. So he's not upset. But Alex keeps pressing him like a psychiatrist would. He keeps maintaining to Louie that he misses his mother. And Louie finally admits that he thinks about her a lot and all the stuff she left lying around. He picks up this shawl that was her shawl, and he kind of tenderly lays it across the piano. Even her shoes, he says, as he picks up these little shoes, these sort of, I don't know how you describe them, but they're like boots, but they're tiny.
Tiny shoes for a tiny woman, a doll's shoes.
Louie finally admits that he misses her. He says he wishes she were there. And he further goes on to confess to Alex that he lied. It wasn't his idea for his mother to leave. It was hers. They had an argument.
She burned his supper. There were some harsh words exchanged, and she left. It starts with, "She burned my supper." Okay, continue.
She burned his dinner. He called her a name. She called him a name, and he hit her teeth. And he's like, "You hit her teeth?"
Ah, right. I forgot that part. My God, it got worse.
So, and the next thing he knows that she left. And in the midst of Louie's confession about this whole thing with his mother, he goes over to the piano and he starts to play the mother song that we all know, "M is for the many things she gave me." But he's playing it slightly off key. And they do this great thing where they cut over to Rieger. And every time he hits a bum note, he does that thing where he kind of winces.
He winces.
I love that. For some reason, that amuses me every time they do it. Finally, and here's where the pity comes in. Alex takes pity and asks Louie if he wants to go to Mario's for a drink. And Louie says something to the effect of, "Well, look, I'm not going to go if
you just want me to hang out with you and have a beer, that's one thing. But if this is for pity, then nothing doing. It's for pity. It's bang, bang. Yeah. It's what I love on taxi."
Yeah, Alex, it's pity, Louie. And Louie's like, "All right, a beer's a beer." And they both head out. And we fade to commercial. Now we fade back into the garage. It's another day or two later. A disheveled Louie stumbles into the garage. He looks terrible. Elaine mentions this to Louie, who reacts angrily to being stared at. Alex asks Louie if he's okay, and asks if he's been hanging out with his friends from the other night. But Louie informs Alex that Lyle shot Huey. But he says it's just an accident. He just wounded him 6 times. Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun. Vaudeville.
Vaudeville.
Latka, we get another great little bit with Latka here. Latka creeps in. He's late. And he's surprised that Louie doesn't bite his head off for being late. We're getting still little bits and pieces of the darkness of Latka.
Of how fucking, yeah, like what happened to Latka, man? Like New York sucked all the joy out of him at some point. Like deep in his soul now is just nothing but blackness.
I never really thought about this until we started looking at these episodes in a more sort of scholarly way, Father Malone. But it is pretty remarkable that until Simca comes around, Latka really goes to some very dark places. We've talked about this in the past, and this is maybe one of the darkest bits because he almost starts goading Louie, basically. He confesses to Louie that he left early yesterday, but Louie is still so depressed that he doesn't even respond. I mean, the old Louie would have probably docked him a week's pay and bitten his head off in front of everybody, but he's so hurt and wounded by the loneliness about his mother that he can't bring himself to do anything. But then Latka seizes upon that, and it becomes like a Don Rickles routine, Father Malone, because he becomes emboldened, and then he starts making fun of Louie like right to his face.
Hey, that suit is nice. I hope it comes back into style. Right.
He just keeps going and going until finally Louie eventually tells him, "Hey, don't press your luck, Latka." So even a wounded Louie has his limits. Alex tells the rest of the cabbies that Louie's mother is the only real friend that he had. And Elaine suggests that they invite Louie over to play cards. Bobby, it should be noted, is against it. But they overrule him and agree to ask Louie over. Alex asks him, and it seems to pull him out of his depression, at least for the moment. He does the thing where he gets so over the top excited about it. He's like, Jeff's in the cage. "Jeff, they asked me to play cards. I'm going to go play cards with the guys."
He becomes his character from One Flew Over Cuckoo's Nest.
Pretty much, yeah. That's a very good comparison here. I didn't think of it like that, but yeah, you're right. He becomes this grinning
fishies. Dude, look at the fishies.
Right. Alex recommends to Louie that he not mention his mother at all. So gleefully, Louie sits down to play cards, and he makes a big show, like I said, to Jeff and everybody that he's going to go play cards. They start to play, and Alex gets up to get some coffee while the betting is proceeding. This person bets, and someone raises them, and whatever. And when he gets back, they're going to catch him up on the betting. And Alex says, "Well, who raised Louie?" Meaning who raised Louie's bet. But Louie hears who raised Louie, and he tearfully responds, "Who raised Louie? Ma raised Louie." And it's all over for Louie. He just starts weeping right there at the table.
Right. It should be noted that when they invite him over, it's conditional. Like, you can come over as long as you don't mention your mother.
Yeah, but like I said, Alex says to him, "You shouldn't mention your mother. Let's keep it light." Him bursting into tears makes all the other cabbies but Rieger leave the table kind of in disgust. And Alex tries to really talk some tough sense into Louie. Alex has seen him turn into a weak, ineffectual boob, and Alex is sick of it. He should just go get his mother if he wants her back. And Alex even kind of grabs Louie physically and takes him over to the side mirror of a cab. It makes Louie look at his reflection, and he's like, "Is that you? Is that you, Louie?" And Louie is horrified by his own reflection. It kind of shocks him back into the old Louie, the old angry, confident Louie, which all of a sudden he takes back everything that's happened. He rebukes everything. The card game. He tells Latka he's going to dock him a week's pay, and he finally announces he's going to go get his mother. As we fade in to the corridor of the rest home.
The weirdest shot in the episode, and made me just think there has to be some place on the Paramount lot with that hallway. Yeah. And they went, "Oh, that's perfect." And it's weird because the show is so two-dimensional. Usually we're looking at it, from only the one angle. Here we're looking straight down a fucking hallway as he's coming towards us, and it's clearly a real world hallway that they then match when he gets to the apartment door, because that's a set. Anyway, I'm sorry.
No. That's exactly what I was going to kind of get into. It's a very institutional looking corridor. And they do this thing where the shot is coming from slightly lower than it's kind of shooting up towards De Palma to kind of convey this idea that he's this small person walking through this giant hallway. It just seems like he's already made very small by being in this rest home trying to get his mother back. I thought it was an interesting directorial choice for the shot.
What year was Officer and a Gentleman?
Officer and a Gentleman was 1982, right around this time.
So that 82 is after this.
It's then, slightly after. Yeah. I think it's a year or two.
Okay, so then they're not paying homage or like surfing along a trend. They're just doing their own thing. It just happens to be weird and evocative.
It is very evocative. Louie gets to her door, but it's locked, so he just can't walk in. He starts pleading with her through the door for her to come home, to open the door, or he's going to break it down. And all the while, his mother is speaking in Italian and voiceover through the door. So you don't see her yet, but you can hear her talking to him in Italian. He even starts to try to break the door down unsuccessfully. And there's this great shot of there's these two old folks in like robes that are horrified at seeing this guy trying to break down the door. And I think he just kind of says, what are you never seen someone trying to talk to their mother before? Get out of here. So they leave. They talk through this argument essentially through the door. Louie is essentially translating by responding to her words in English, which I like when they do that because it's kind of a nice.
Did you translate what he called her?
What did he call her? I don't remember that part.
Oh, I don't know. But because the joke is that she says, well, what did I call you? And then she speaks for like 30 seconds in pure Italian. Like, you called me this, like it's endless. Like there's no way you accidentally called me this.
Yeah. But the punchline to that is she gives this long thing about what he called her. And he says, it slipped out. Like it's this insult that probably took 30 seconds to get out.
Right. I know. I'm just saying, did you translate the Italian?
No. What I'm saying is like, I love when movies do this as shorthand to avoid doing things like putting subtitles, having some other means of explaining what they're saying. I've known people when I like growing up, like families that had native Polish speakers, and the kids couldn't necessarily speak Polish that well, but they were always the ones who could like translate for their mom and dad, like at a bank or something. It felt authentic, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And it's also very efficient because you don't have, like I said, you don't have to use subtitles or have him speaking to her in Italian and have to deal with all of that. He apologizes to her and eventually he admits very sweetly how lonely he is without her. He promises to be nice to her at least for a while, and she agrees. And then the door opens and you see his mother revealed. It's actually Danny DeVito's actual mother, Julia DeVito. She comes out. She's got a briefcase in one hand. She's chain smoking a butt. She's a little bit shorter than Danny DeVito, but man, she looks in the face. She looks just like him. He's a dead ringer for his mother. It's really sweet. Adorable.
And this is how tiny she is. You just said she's carrying a briefcase. That's a suitcase, my man.
I meant the suitcase. That's what I meant. Louie takes the cigarette out of her mouth, gives her this little kiss on the cheek, and with perfect timing, she exhales the smoke that she's had in her mouth and blows it right in his face and makes him cough. It's a great little moment.
An image that has lived in my head for 40 years.
Her blowing smoke in his face?
Yeah, so when I think of Danny DeVito, and if anyone mentions anything beyond his work, like they start mentioning his family, I will think about his mother blowing smoke in his face on Taxi.
I don't know that the scene would have worked quite as well if you didn't have that innate connection between a mother and a son. This is all very sweet. And finally, they walk out. It's a reverse shot down that same corridor we just talked about, and they're holding hands. And again, it's hard not to be affected by that. It's knowing Louie is this irredeemable monster, to see him walking with his old Italian mother hand in hand. It's very sweet.
I thought it was sweet to see Danny DeVito and his mom together in this like picture postcard now forever with him. In that way, I agree with you. It was very sweet.
It is. So that's the end of the episode. Now we're going to talk yellow lights.
What does a yellow light mean?
Reminder, we score on a scale of 1 to 5 yellow lights. 1 is the worst Taxi episode, and 5 is the best. Father Malone, what do you give Louie's mother? As is our custom, we're going to throw it to you first.
What do the yellow lights mean? This one gets 2 yellow lights.
2 yellow lights. Really? You disliked it that much?
Bored. I was bored. There were no laughs in this. We've seen it before. We've seen the scenarios before where Louie is acting out, but he's really he's wounded in some way, and Alex has to figure that out and then kind of come up with a solution for him, and then hooray. And when we now have peeled back the layers of Louie De Palma, and we know there's a real human underneath there. Who cares? We did it already. We probably did it with laughs. I can't remember the specific episode, but it had to be funnier than this one because this one had 0. It's got 2 yellow lights. By the way, 1 yellow light is only for Mrs. DeVito.
Okay, well, that's fair. And even though I'm slightly shocked that you didn't score it a little higher, I'm not worlds away. I gave it 3 yellow lights. For me, the 2 of those yellow lights I can boil down to 2 things. One is Mrs. DeVito. She's a gem. The other thing, I guess, as a collective, 4 words really: Lyle, Huey, Daytona Dave. Those 3 weirdos on the couch, they make it for me. That scene is so bizarre to me, but yet somehow it feels real because I could very easily see Louie having this coterie of oddballs that he pals around with, that it's not clear what the connection really is, and they all seem so different, but they're all odd. That's, to me, they're worth a yellow light because they're so unsettling in that scene.
You're making me want to take a yellow light away because they weren't weird enough.
2 yellow lights from Father Malone, 3 yellow lights from myself. That's going to do it for this episode of Night, Mr. Walters. Father Malone, where can folks find you when you're not clocked into the garage?
I do a show called Midnight Viewing. It's a horror anthology podcast, but we also look at, well, pretty much anything we goddamn want to. It's on twice a week. It's on Mondays and Fridays. Father Malone's Weekly Roundup and the Horror Anthology Podcast, or any of the multiple fests where we examine. That's an anthological way to look at things. We're looking at the anthology that is an entire person's career in some cases. Like, for instance, we're starting up Rick Moranis Fest. HP and I are doing it. HP does all the fests with me, except if it's horror, which case he bails. So he won't be on the Books of Blood one that's coming up. Anyway, that's where you can find me. And
actually, I'm going to piggyback on that for myself. You can find me. I am host of the Noise Junkies Music Podcast. I am in the midst.
Wait, HP.
Yeah.
Bye, Ivan. Okay, go ahead.
I am in the midst of one such fest that Father Malone brought up. I'm in the midst of Yaucha Fest with Father Malone. We're covering the Predator film franchise. It's been a lot of fun. Many movies I haven't seen, and really enjoying it. I'm also an occasional guest on the Culture Cast with Chris Dashew. And last but not least, I have a Bandcamp site, hpmusicplace.bandcamp.com. Please check that out if you would. Thanks again for listening. Please feel free to subscribe to this podcast, write a review, or rate us. We'd love to hear from you. In fact, to send us an email, please do. The address is hpmusicplace@gmail.com. Thanks again, everybody. For myself and for Father Malone, thanks again for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Night, Mr. Walters.
Hello, this is Aaron West. I am the author of the A24 New Wave. In this book, I look at A24's output and I make the argument that we are in a new wave movement right now. A24 plays a major role. This book has a supplemental podcast where each episode is a brief conversation about an A24 related topic, whether an actor, director, or even a genre. As I continue research for the book and conduct interviews, I expect to record podcast episodes with people involved with the company. You can find the podcast at cinejourneys.com or wherever you find podcasts, and we are proud to be members of the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.